Good morning, you're watching Saturday Live with me, Chris Robertson. The old adage that the camera never lies has been quite convincingly disproved with the arrival of the digital image, but is retouching, artificially altering pictures to manipulate the finished product now becoming rather dangerous. That's the view of some campaigners who say images of the perfect body are now so widespread, either in glossy magazines or film posters, that many impressionable young people feel inadequate. One of those Hollywood stars, Kate Winslet, provoked a small controversy a few years back when she complained that a major magazine had retouched pictures of her to make her look slimmer. She said GQ didn't ask her permission, and it was particularly embarrassing because she was well known for defending fuller-figured women. And retouching works the other way as well. Keira Knightley came under fire after her figure suddenly appeared much curvier in promotional posters than it did in real life. The Lib Dem MP, Jo Swinson, is a vocal critic of the damage false images of the perfect body are doing to young people. She can join us from Glasgow. Also with us, former editor of Marie Claire, Mary O'Riordan, and Craig Zadok, a highly experienced photo retoucher who's worked on some of Britain's biggest magazines. I think the best way to start this discussion is to look at some of your work and what you can do. So let's have a look at a few before and after images. What have you done to the ladies on the left to turn them into the ladies on the right?
Well, if you look at that pic, firstly, if you look at the entire background has been changed, the building and trees have been removed.
I don't think that's what the debate is about, to be absolutely honest with you.
Just, not major work has been done on the skin itself. What you've got to realise is that airbrushing is a very small part of the retouching process. Retouching begins right at the beginning in processing the raw files, and within processing that raw file, a lot of attention was paid to colour.
Let's try and have a look at another. I think we've probably got another couple of. Here we go. There we go. Well, that is. You see, you're not making her breasts bigger or smaller,
exactly.
or I mean,
it all
which
depends.
was the thing that Keira Knightley got so upset about.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you done to sort of make her look prettier?
Well,
in
that instance, very little work's actually been done, as you can see on her skin itself. The main emphasis on that, obviously, is the hair. So for that particular campaign, we had to turn her natural hair into red, another shot into blonde, another shot into black. So for that particular ad, they wanted the same shot, just displaying different hair colours. OK, as
we keep looking at some more of your work, let's talk to Jo Swinson, who's been very vocal about this. I mean, of all the great issues of the day, Jo, you know, why has this one got you so angry?
Well, there's a lot of issues in our Real Women policy paper, such as equal pay for women, more flexible working and childcare. But this one has certainly struck a chord with a lot of people out there and generated a lot of attention from media outlets such as yourself. And I think, actually, the self-esteem of women and girls is something which is a serious issue. And the many emails that I've received from women, and indeed some men up and down the country, detailing the pressures that they feel under and the negative impact that actually has, I think show that this is a real issue out there. It's not necessarily always talked about. We get these perfect images bombarded at us from everywhere, from all parts of the media, and that does have an impact. We'd be naive to think that it didn't.
Mary O'Riordan, is this something that taxed your conscience when you were editing Marie Claire?
Not really. I think when people buy a women's glossy fashion magazine, they're buying a bit of escapism and a bit of fantasy. And I think you look at the idealised vision of, you know, a celebrity that you're featuring or a model. I mean, I had my picture in the front of the magazine and my wrinkles were probably airbrushed out, in the same way that this morning I had my makeup done for TV and the woman called the product airbrushing. So, I mean, it's something that's been with us since the beginning of time, really, since the beginning of Hollywood, photography, fashion.
But do you understand Jo's point that, you know, you're sending the wrong message? You're saying to your readers, this is how you should look.
I think it's a complicated area because I think a lot of magazines that use paparazzi photography, for example, and then comment on celebrities having a bigger tummy than last summer or a smaller tummy or losing their pre-pregnancy weight.
What about skin? You see this lady here, on the left-hand side, I mean, her skin on the right-hand side is absolutely perfect.
Yes.
You know, what about a poor girl who's got a spot or a pimple or something, you know? They're going to think it's...
I just think that the readers of these magazines and, you know, people who peruse fashion advertising or beauty advertising, people are quite literate and quite intelligent, and they do know that that is an idealised version of something. But basically, we're all being flogged products that accompany these things. And I think, we've been marketed enough in this century to be able to deconstruct it and to know that it's probably not going to make us look as beautiful as the model on the packet, but at the same time the product is demonstrating that it clears up a spot or makes your hair red or whatever, as in the earlier photograph.
Craig, what are the most common things you're asked to add or probably take away, is the usual?
Depending, I work strictly to briefs. Each brief is different, but in general, a lot of emphasis is placed on color balance, shadow removal. You could be at a shoot and you could have a harsh shadow casting across your face, which is not normally there. That obviously has to be removed. But emphasis is being placed nowadays, generally for the magazines I work for, that airbrushing as such should be kept at a minimum. Right. Realism is vital.
But both of you, Jo Swinson, both my guests here, are sort of making it look fairly harmless. You obviously don't agree.
Well, I think that if, as Mary says, people are so aware of it, then what is the problem with putting an upfront, honest line on adverts to just say to what extent they have been retouched? I think this is an issue of honesty. I mean, if you've got an anti-wrinkle cream, for example, and the model that's used in the advert is an older lady but she's had her wrinkles airbrushed out, then I actually think there is a real issue of honesty there in terms of what people are being sold. And from a lot of the photographers and people that I've spoken to while doing this campaign, they've said, well, it's just de facto now. You do it on every shoot. They'll say, oh, there's a bit of tummy there, we'll take that out in the suite. And the extent of this has now increased.
On the sort of tummy gate factor, what did you make of this huge story that was a couple of weeks ago about the model who was photographed showing, heaven forbid, a less than perfect tummy?
Well, I mean, apart from anything else, she still looked gorgeous. And would it really be the end of the world if we saw more images like that in magazines, or if her tummy had been airbrushed out, that there was a little note that said that that's what had happened? Because otherwise, people look at these images in magazines and some people think that's actually how the model looks. And it's not just airbrushing for colour and shadow anymore. If it is just that, then that would be fine. That's all it needs to say. But if it's actually changing somebody's body shape, a bit of a digital boob job or liposuction, slicing away parts of people's thighs, then I think the reader has a right to know that that's what's happened. And that's basically all we're asking for, is for a little bit of honesty in exactly what retouching is going on.
What about, Mary, the sort of the weight issue and how you can take somebody like Kate Winslet, who is a fuller figure person, and make them look thinner than they are?
Yeah, no, I think that is taking it too far. I mean, Kate Winslet is a very beautiful woman, and we all know what she looks like because we've all seen her in movies. So
it doesn't matter that she's not a size 8 or whatever.
And I think it was very foolish of the magazine to have done that. And similarly with Keira Knightley, I think we all know she's not known for her big bosom, so I think it was rather foolish to make her look different than how she was. And I think the public are annoyed when it's taken to that extreme.
On the tummy thing, by the way, if you were still editing Marie Claire, would you have published that photograph and made a big song and dance?
I absolutely would have, but I think the point is there wasn't a big song and dance made about it from the magazine point of view. It was buried right at the back of the magazine. It was quite a small picture, and it actually got picked up by the readers. But the editor hasn't gone out saying, oh, I'm definitely going to change my policy from now on. I'm going to feature real women. But also, in that photograph, she was airbrushed quite severely anyway, but she's a very beautiful girl, but her skin looked a shade of peachy cream that I think would not be achieved without airbrushing.
Craig, do you think you'll be out of a job soon?
Not at all. I think that with photography gone totally digital, more responsibility is placed on the retoucher to process raw files from the beginning. So, in essence, your darkroom has moved to the computer, where manipulation would have taken place in the darkroom before. It's simply happening on computer now. So, no,
all right.
Retouching's here to stay.
Right, Craig, Mary and Jo, thank you all this morning. Very interesting to talk to you. We could do half an hour on this one subject, but we are out of time, so thank you.
Thanks.
You're watching Sky News on the website, skynews.com. Prime Minister question, Gordon Brown's reply to our invitation to join a leaders' debate live on TV. And in the sport, England aim to fight back against the Aussies in the one-day series, 3-0 down if you'd forgotten. And how South Africa clinched their first Tri-Nations title for 5 years.